Hello and welcome back to another video. In today's video I'm going to be sharing with you my outlook on the DXY, 10-year US government bonds, EU and GU. I'm also going to be sharing with you what to actually look out for this week, based around the dates that our economic calendar is presenting us with these high impact folders, such as our more significant ones as of FOMC and CPI, and then obviously we've got our PPI on Friday and our inflation expectations. So, what does this mean? This means at the first start of the week, we're most likely going to see some sort of, range of consolidation, which is exactly what we actually got today. Although we traded prices higher, all we were actually doing is generating some sort of liquidity for our up and coming week, to continue this move to the downside. But what we've actually got to realize, going into this week is the overall, volume and significance of this move that we've seen in the previous week. So where has price come from? We've traded all the way here, shown, strong intent to push prices lower. And what does this mean? When we actually come up to our weeks now in live time, it means more likely than not, we are going to see some sort of retracement of the DXY to actually restore equilibrium within the market. So you can see today, the dollar index was quite predictable that more likely than not prices were going to trade higher and actually trade into our gap here, which was actually constructed in our previous week. Now, just because this move today was predictable, like more likely than not we were going to see some sort of retracement and then a move up towards this gap, it doesn't mean it's probable to take advantage of. Now, this can easily be seen on the chart, Yes, price pushed higher. But is it offering us, a large range of expansion with a very high probable drawn liquidity? No, it's not. And notice, our news drivers up until the Wednesday got no USD drivers at all. Meaning more likely than not, price is just going to engineer liquidity instead of deliver. You can see today, though we've made higher prices, we are still essentially consolidating prices for a potential expansion to the downside when our news drivers actually start to come to play. So focusing on this week, what we actually need to look for is, signs of our framework actually coming into play. We could wake up tomorrow, price over Asian trading session could have been traded a lot higher, and then going into our Wednesday, we could quite simply see our daily FVG be created here, and we could see prices trade back into this range here. Prices trade back into this range, and then higher prices just to balance and restore equilibrium by taking this buy side liquidity and tapping back into this leg, where potentially if prices do show intent to push prices higher, could even see prices being traded back into the daily fair value gap here in our premium array from this range. Now, going back on to what we actually have to focus on, it's going to actually be just purely patience and waiting for weekly manipulation to take place. So, by understanding, how many bars can actually materialize in a week, this is where we can pick up on, the probabilities of when manipulations are likely. So, like mentioned, if tomorrow's daily candle is a push to the upside, more likely than not, Wednesday will be a retracement into this fair value gap, and this is where we'll see our news drivers actually be the driver of our buy side liquidity. And then from here, we'll obviously assess how market participants choose to trade, and then potentially could see some sort of sell-off going into Friday and potentially late Thursday, and then obviously end the week here. Now, for EU and GU, what I'm actually anticipating is lower prices, as of now. As of now, very similar, my exact same, opposite. Drawn liquidity is going to be low here. That was our previous week low that was put in not last week but the week before, placed in this weekly fair value gap. Now, assess how our weekly candles have actually materialized, So we've had this push up here, this small retracement back into our weekly fair value gap, traded back below, we've traded above, swept our buy side liquidity here in our internal range, actually managed to trade above some of our buy side liquidity externally, trade into the fair value gap, and as shown, going into this week, intent from market participants trading action, it's clear that they do want lower prices as of now. Okay, speaking in live time. So as of now, our most probabilistic draw is going to be here, and obviously this is, going to become probable to take advantage of, that it's going to be a winning trade if the necessary framework presents itself, which I will obviously update the Telegram group. Just a quick look at our US 10-year. You can see very, very similar. Okay, traded down, tapped into our discount fair value gap, and from our last week, during the end of last week, this is where we've seen clear intent from our daily candle to prices higher. Going in today's trading range, you can see how our daily candle today materialized. Very, very bullish. Okay, meaning more likely than not, as of now, speaking of now, we haven't actually gone into our next trading day to pick up upon how market participants actually choose to trade. But as of now, speaking, our most likely draw is going to be this high here, and obviously this aligns nicely with the dollar index to our buy side liquidity. Taking a quick look at GU as well, intent's a lot clearer. You can see that in our last day, our Friday, in our previous week, intent was very clear that we want lower prices, completely disrespecting all of our 4-hour parameters. This full leg, just inefficient price action, are completely inversed, and you can see now intent is obviously flipped from here, showing signs that market participants do want GU as well as U. Very, very similar. What I'm actually anticipating would be tomorrow's candle to actually sell off, create our daily fair value gap, and this is where we could potentially see some sort of retracement potentially into the gap here, and then this is when our news drivers will come into play and the necessary framework will present itself, and if it presents itself in a a probable way to take advantage of, could actually anticipate that more likely than not high of the week or high of the day will be in. Okay, this is what I'll be looking for. Targeting some of our those here and looking just to tap back into this leg that actually funded our buy reversal from this move downside. But thank you very much for listening if you did make it this far. And as mentioned, this week is all about patience, but I will keep you all updated as the week goes on and as we actually materialize some of our trading sessions, such as and